This was an actual spacesuit Grumman Aircraft Corporation tried to sell NASA in 1962. This mobile robot, created by Hughes Aircraft Electronic Labs, was intended for women who needed help getting dressed in California, 1961. Marilyn Monroe and her husband, Arthur Miller, were photographed at their home in Amagansett, 1957. The 33rd President of the United States was Harry Truman. He was the one who made the decision to drop atomic bombs on Japan. David Cronenberg with his Creatures from Naked Lunch, 1991. London street life in the 1930s. Classes are being held in a destroyed school, Angola, 1997. Judge Haley, with a sawed-off shotgun provided by Angela Davis, is having it taped to his neck. Black Panther James McClane is pointing a gun. A mask that helps you maintain a poker face in 1937. Brigitte Bardot and her second husband, Jacques Cartier, 1960. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry and his wife Consuelo, 1930. There are two Maori women outside the Huriwenua meeting house in Renana. During the 1970s, most cars were colorful. Harry Truman and Pablo Picasso at Valoris, France, in 1958. Marilyn Monroe is surrounded by fan mail in 1955. Colonel Muammar Gaddafi at Bab Azizia Palace. The palace was destroyed in a United States air raid and left in ruins in November 1986. It's a picture of Tibetan monks with a Czechoslovakian Jawa 250 motorcycle from 1956. The final two-seater version of the Wrightcraft microcar, equipped with a 12-horsepower engine. This was in 1940. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with John Wooden in 1969, and then 38 years later. The 1970s, right? They were a time when the United States saw some new safety standards emerge. Uma Thurman, 1990. A woman is sitting with her pet cheetah, having tea at the Bois de Boulogne Café in Paris in 1932. John Cleese and Connie Booth, the 1970s. British soldiers recovering from illness are sunbathing at a hospital in Rouen from 1914 to 1918. Berlin, 1921. A street vendor is selling figurines. Mick Jagger, Venice, 1971. Japanese prisoners of war at Guam bow their heads after hearing Emperor Hirohito make the announcement of Japan's unconditional surrender. It was August 15, 1945. Farmers Max and Miriam Yazgar, on whose land Woodstock was held, the day after the festival ended, 1969. A young Jeffrey Dahmer is posing with a giant snow sculpture of a bong. Adam West as Batman, 1966. Diana Rigg and Anthony Hopkins, 1972. From 1956 to 2025, Cecil Williams. Same man, same fight. Frank Sinatra on vacation in Mexico in 1962. In 1980, Terry Fox set out on the Marathon of Hope, aiming to run across Canada to raise both awareness and funds for cancer research. The Soyuz rocket from the 1980s in Baikonur, Kazakh Soviet Socialist Republic. Frank F. Gibson, at 1305 Linden Street. He works for the Western Union Telegraph Company as a messenger. Number 7. He's 14 years old and has been in service for 1 year. He guides soldiers to the segregated district. He smokes. He's still in school and works from 8:30 in the evening to 12:30 in the morning. Thousands of senior citizens are gathering to protest budget cuts before City Hall in Manhattan, New York City, in May of 1991. It's 1944. A French woman is being publicly humiliated for allegedly collaborating with the Nazis. McDonald's and Soviet Union flags fluttered in Moscow in 1990, marking the opening of the first restaurant of the chain in the country. S&H green stamps were part of a rewards program run by the Sperry and Hutchinson Company in 1972. Earl Dennison, a middle-aged nurse, is in Kilby Prison. She was convicted of poisoning her 2-year-old niece for life insurance money. She'd poisoned another niece several years earlier. This happened in Alabama in 1953. Saddam Hussein goes out shirtless in the 1980s. Russian President Boris Yeltsin and U.S. President Bill Clinton are in front of Franklin Delano Roosevelt's home in New York on October 23, 1995. Randy Weaver, the target of the Ruby Ridge siege, is pointing to bullet holes in his cabin door while giving his testimony before the Senate Judiciary Subcommittee on September 6, 1995. Football on Red Square during the 1930s in Moscow. Nicolas Cage, 1985. Claudia Schiffer in the 1990s. A champion bull at the Lord Tredegar Agricultural Show, 1919. Estonian engineer Uno Porti and his hydrocopter in Viljandi. This happened in the Livonia Governorate, which was part of the Russian Empire in 1912. Princess Diana losing an argument to her 7-year-old son. It was around 1991. Ernest Hemingway in St. Mark's Square, Venice, 1954. Barcelona, 1909. Two men are hiding from the police in Johannesburg, 1955. If caught in the city without a pass, black citizens were subject to arrest. Jim Henson and Frank Oz were puppeteering as Ernie and Bert for a Sesame Street pilot show in July of 1969. A huge mushroom cloud goes up over Hiroshima, Japan, just 2 minutes after an atomic bomb went off over the city. This happened on August 6, 1945. Anne Margaret, 1960s. The real-life Peaky Blinders, 1910. U.S. President Richard Nixon is touring the tomb of the Wanli Emperor during his 1972 diplomatic trip to China. At over 48 years, the reign of the Wanli Emperor was the longest of the Ming dynasty and the 7th longest in Chinese history. Carter met with Israel's Menahem Begin and Anwar Sadat of Egypt at Camp David in 1978. The agreements that resulted from the meetings, known as the Camp David Accords, led to a historic peace treaty between Israel and Egypt. A glass worker is carrying a tube of rolled glass at Pilkington Glass Limited of St. Helens, Lancashire in 1918. October 21, 1950. The christening of Princess Anne, infant daughter of Princess Elizabeth and Prince Philip. It's 1943. Queen and Misa Watanabe in Tokyo, February 13, 1981. Brigitte Bardot in Cannes, 1953. In 1973, a British couple named Maurice and Marilyn Bailey survived an astonishing 118 days adrift in the Pacific Ocean. This happened after their yacht, called Orlin, was struck by a whale and sank. Martin Luther King Jr. is receiving an award from George Maslin, who's on the left and is the president of the United Synagogue of America, and Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel on the right. This is for translating the prophetic vision of Abraham Lincoln into a living reality. The year is 1963. French football icon Eric Cantona and Hollywood superstar Mickey Rourke, 1988. Girls are showing off their swimsuits. This is in Naples, Italy, in 1948. Okay, so this is about Adam Sandler in high school Spanish class during the 80s. Joe Lincoln of Accord, champion decoy maker of New England, 1926. There are SS guards at the official Nazi Party headquarters in the Brown House in Munich. Many leading Nazis, including Adolf Hitler, kept offices there throughout the party's existence. The Brown House was destroyed by Allied bombing raids in October 1943. Super Soaker water guns, 1996. They were filming the MGM Lion in 1929. Clowns in the First World War. The Balmorals, entertainers of the British 51st Division in Chellers, France. It was May 7th, 1917. Hunter S. Thompson shaves Johnny Depp's hair for Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, 1998. President Roosevelt's in his wheelchair on the porch at Top Cottage in Hyde Park, New York, with Ruthie Bai and Fala in 1941. Sophia Loren is pressing her hands into wet cement at the Hollywood Walk of Fame in Hollywood. There's a German dummy tank made of reeds. This was in 1918. Typhoid Mary, also known as Mary Mallon, is with a nurse around 1925. Paul Arzens with the electric egg car prototype in Paris, 1942. The Crazy Cafe, Los Angeles, 1920s. Buzz Aldrin eased down Eagle's ladder, paused on the last rung, and jumped the final 3 feet. A Royal Flying Corps cadet is practicing deflection shooting. He's on a moving platform mounted on rails, and it's launched at high speed. This is happening in Egypt in 1918. Shoeshine, New York, 1950. Jennifer Lopez, in her high school yearbook photo, is wearing a white shirt with the collar turned up. Her hair is styled in a side part, with curls framing her face. She's smiling. The Chicago Blackhawks took on Sesame Street on this day in 1975. David Beckham and Victoria Beckham, late 1990s. Salvador Dali, 1967. A group of friends are walking about Atlantic City Beach, New Jersey in the 1950s. It was a segregated beach at the time. British military policemen are questioning a German prisoner. The prisoner was found with a large quantity of Soviet banknotes. This happened in Normandy on the 20th of July, 1944. Rocker and John are dressed in fertilizer bags in England, 1983. A school library from the 1990s. Help is Coming, 1961. The image is a photograph by Robert Doisneau, a renowned French photographer known for his humanist approach to capturing everyday life. Rocket cyclists pedaling away in a cloud of smoke from the 1930s. In the 1960s, Afghanistan was one of the more progressive countries in the Islamic world. Women could vote, hold public office, and had many of the same rights as men. An Irish Catholic, wearing a gas mask, is standing in front of a wall. On the wall is graffiti that reads, "We want peace." This happened moments before British troops threw tear gas. It was 1969. Pam Grier is posing before going to a tennis match in 1976. Students on a Ferris wheel. The year was 1986, and the place was Kyiv, Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. Hitler's at the Kaiserhof Hotel. It was January 1933. He was trying on evening dress before he was appointed chancellor. Polish Olympian Władysław Kozakiewicz shows his famous gesture toward Soviet fans in Moscow. They booed him after he won the gold medal in pole vaulting during the 1980 Summer Olympics. Anti-Serbian propaganda, 1914 Austria. It seems the Beatles and Jerry and the Pacemakers are fighting over Louise Corday. This happened in 1963. In 1950, a 23-year-old woman walked onto the courts of the U.S. Nationals, which is today's U.S. Open, and changed tennis forever. Her name was Althea Gibson, and by stepping onto that court, she broke the sport's color barrier. With nylon stockings hard to come by, women would paint their legs to make it look like they were wearing stockings in the 1940s. Kim Basinger, 24 years old in 1977. Daft Punk without the iconic white helmets. Around the 1990s. A Czechoslovak soldier kisses his daughter before being mobilized during the Sudeten crisis in September 1938. A gypsy woman, sick with typhus, is at the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. She's waiting with other gypsies for medical assistance. This happened in April 1945. Around the 20s and 30s, one of the top voices in fitness and physical culture, now mostly forgotten, was Donna Thaldo, 1930. Albert Einstein, Princeton, New Jersey, 1941. Che Guevara was captured. This happened in La Higuera, Bolivia, on October 8, 1967. Belgian explorer Camille Coquillat shakes hands with local chief Matabuike at Bangala Station along the Congo River in 1888. Coquillat was charged with setting up a trading post, later named Bangala Station, for the Congo Free State. An elderly German Volkssturm member holds his outdated Mannlicher rifle that he was issued in October of 1944. Pamela Anderson and her dog Star, who she rescued from a shelter in 1990. They're on the set of Baywatch. Jackie and Rachel Robinson are with their son at home in 1949. John F. Kennedy's inauguration happened on January 20th, 1961 at the U.S. Capitol. Eisenhower, Lyndon B. Johnson, and Nixon were there. Anne Frank is writing at her desk in her room in her apartment in the Merwedeplein, Amsterdam, in 1941. A frustrated American GI tries to extract information from a Viet Cong suspect, dating back to the 1960s. A woman is wearing a flu mask during the flu epidemic that happened after the First World War. That was in 1919. The bridge collapsed in Canada in 1926.